And, speaking of that, Gene,
Uh-huh.
everybody has that in them.
Right.
Everybody has that in them. Everybody has that purpose in them. And where I see a lot of conflict, because I've been reading a lot of books now, Gene, and I'm really excited about this. And
Where's the conflict that you see?
no, because people are not in tune with that. That's why they need to get a hold of you, Gene, and start digging into that and unlocking that locker.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I think the beauty is they begin to recognize that they are so much more than a personality, and that's for you too. I mean, to see that life is a continuum. It doesn't just start. You might drop a body like you drop a pair of clothes or something, but life continues on, and so another experience, another experience, another experience. And it's a continuum, and then that within you that continues on is what's important.
Right.
Not so much the personality, because we get all confused about that. Do you like me? Am I cute enough? Whatever. Do you agree with me? And I think that's how we are on a personality level, and
right.
we can make that so important that we forget it's not that important.
No.
It's not that important.
No.
Who we are and how we can express ourselves and be our fullest self is really what it comes down to. And when we do that, when we embrace that part, the conflict melts away.
Right.
We begin to recognize that there is a way to be that is so natural, as you said, so
right.
natural.
And natural. And
Yeah.
and what's so important, I've talked to several different individuals in the same field in different parts of it, Gene.
Sure.
We had a psychic in here the other day. We had several of them, and they're all coming to one solid. I don't want to use the word conclusion, but feel, I guess, is they're calling it to the fact of the awakening. What's happening here. Everybody's saying 2012. Oh, we're all going to get poof. And we're all done. No, what I feel here is there's a real conscious awakening that's coming out here, because even the demographics of our economic structures right now are all, I won't say collapsing, but they're turning inward so then they can come back outward in a better way.
Right.
Phoenix
rising.
Right.
Yeah.
Phoenix rising, and through your help, Gene, and that's why it's so important. To contact you, and I want to make sure we get that information up on the screen here, and how that people can get a hold of you, because it is very important, Gene, that you get to know what's inside here, because it just from what again, I'm babbling here. Please forgive me, Gene. I'm kind of go off on my little soapbox here again, but it's so important. Seriously, folks, if you're listening out there, it's very, very important. She did this for me, and I got to tell you, I sat there and cried for a little bit, because I went, wow, yeah, it was like, okay, that was a baseball bat to the forehead, that was a little bit painful, but at the same time, it was. It made a lot of sense. So a lot of the decisions and stuff that I was in the process of making, I'm kind of putting a rethinking process on it. I'm going to go, well, do I really need to do that? Because this is where I really want to be. I feel like I'm being forced over here into this situation where I don't need to be. Listen to what's inside here, and that's what Jean will do for you. She will put things in perspective for you, so you can really take a good eyeball on that.
Yeah, and sometimes you just, when you're in that much conflict, you just need to back off for a little bit, and then, and your mind, I call it surrender. Surrender.
I surrender.
Yeah.
I surrender.
I really think that's a positive state to be in, and I think sometimes egoically we won't let ourselves do that, but I think it's such a powerful thing to do, to just go, we in Alcoholics Anonymous, they talk about surrendering to a higher,
right.
What do they call it? Higher energy?
Higher power.
A
higher power.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest successful tools that anybody has in life, is to surrender to a higher power. And sometimes when we're all tangled up, okay, it's time to surrender to a higher power right now, and just let it go. And sometimes it could be a minute, and sometimes it could be a day, or even several months, and then you begin to know what comes next. You begin to know what I need to do next. But sometimes when we get that tangled up, it's better just to step back and surrender to something higher.
Because you're just going to keep tripping over yourself.
Exactly.
Believe me, been there, done it, still doing it. You know, so you know, the key thing I think, Jean, is don't be afraid.
Yeah. Well,
don't be afraid.
Yeah, and you know what? People are afraid. And again, I think that's something you're like, you know, you're afraid.
Yeah. And your point?
Yeah.
You know, okay.
Do it anyway. Yeah.
You're still going to eat your cereal in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Fear's okay. The thing with fear is we live in a fear-based culture, and there's.
Well, that's a fact.
I mean, it's like be afraid of everything. Be afraid of making a mistake. Be afraid of making the wrong turn. Be a mistake of somebody won't like you, whatever. I mean, it's all those things to be afraid of. Failure, whatever that is. I don't know what that is. But anyway, we're taught a lot of this stuff that somehow it demeans your character or something if you make the wrong turn or whatever. I think it makes you stronger. I think it makes you better. I think we need that because our egos are so out of control sometimes that if we don't, we end up thinking we're super people or something, and that's just leading. It's just leading down the wrong road.
Yeah, that's setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, it really is.
It really
and
is.
then when it comes, it's so devastating.
Why didn't that work? That should have worked, and then this is what I do. Gene, this is what I do is I'll take that, messed up information and then I'll process it in there as truth, and then I'll go to myself and say, you know what, I'm really no good.
That's exactly it.
I really am just no good. Why am I even bothering? See, Gene, I tried.
Why am I breathing?
Gene, I tried it.
Why am I taking up space?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just making the crowd look bigger. Yeah. I don't need to do that. We're big enough. Yeah. But
that's the truth.
But that's what I do.
That's the truth with most people that we, and I say, the big we, we've all been taught that in a way that you're never allowed to make mistakes or, fail a spelling test or something, and I think the opposite. In fact, I have to say this story. I had a daughter, and she was on the dean's list all the time, and she was sick all the time. She had mononucleosis. She was so run down, and I said to her, please get off the dean's list. Please, would you stop? Look at what you're doing to yourself. Right. You are killing yourself. Oh no, I really need to be on the dean's list because when I get a job, it's going to be important. I said, it is not going to be important. It is not going to be important because when you walk in the room, they're going to see who you are and they're going to give you every job you ever went for, which is the truth, by the way. And so anyway, one day she calls me and she goes, Mom, I'm off the dean's list. And I go, that is so wonderful. Yeah. It's like the reverse. I'm going, oh my gosh, I think I reversed every parental rule. But I was so glad for her to get off this silly dean's.
Too much pressure.
She was killing herself. Right. And she got healthier. She got stronger and healthier after that because she wasn't pressuring herself.
Pushing herself, pushing.
And I wanted to be that person in the corner that went, yay, I know who you are. I know how amazing you are. You don't need to have these false idols.
Right.
You don't need that because you already are amazing.
And that is so true. Gene, I wasn't privileged, to as a kid, to go through college and all that. It was quite difficult, just get through high school. Of course, that's kind of where my head was at anyway. I don't think I was college bound, but no, Gene.
It's not for everybody.
But I did construction for many years, and then had a very good friend come out and say, because construction. I said, you know what? I've been doing this for like 18 years, and I there's got to be something else out there that I can do. I'm smart enough. And one of my buddies came and said, you know what? You are, Bob. I think you'd be a good financial advisor. And I went, right, kidding. Building houses, swinging a hammer, financial advisor. Yeah, you're on target. Go have a beer. You're done. You're done. But no, he kind of insisted. So I self-studied. Self-studied, and wind up passing the Series 7.
Yeah.
which is a very strong test. You know, the 63. And I also did the 65 as well as the 24. I was a General Securities principal, but I never thought I could I could do that. But I just disciplined myself and said, you know what,
That's the key.
let's try it.
Yeah.
And then I had that title now.
Yeah.
So I went to several places and they wouldn't hire me because I didn't have those dean list things and all. You know, I didn't have all that. You know, it's a very pompous area. I should be very careful about what I'm going to say here. But
right.
I'll leave that one alone. But it's a tough industry, and sometimes they don't always see clearly. They see superficially rather than what's
Right.
substance. But long story short, I'm getting tangent here, Gene. Is I met a recruiter that saw me.
Ah, okay.
That
Beautiful.
saw me.
Beautiful.
Didn't matter. I didn't even say. She didn't even
Beautiful.
ask if I was licensed or anything.
Yeah.
She just saw me. Wow, I really think you'd be a good fit here. You just have a. You know, can you take this personality profile? I said, sure, I'll do that. And it came out in the top 2%. You know,
Beautiful.
but still, I ran into conflict when she brought me in front of the general agent. And well, has he got any college background? And she said, no, but look at him.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the
Look
guy.
what he- look at the results,
Yeah,
huh?
look what he can do. And it took a little bit, but they finally hired me in there.
Beautiful.
You know, and then after that, I excelled.
Yeah,
You know, but
beautiful. But what changed in you from the time when you were looking for those kind of positions, and then you weren't getting anywhere, and then finally this woman saw you and said, I see who he is. What happened in you? What change did you make from that point to that point that caused this
you know,
switch?
you know, Gene, this is going to sound really crazy. I have two more now, but I had a black lab. His name was Zeke.
Uh-huh.
And I used to talk to him all the time.
Uh-huh.
And you always talk to your animals. Come on, give me a break.
Sure, yeah.
But I was sitting there looking at him going, I'm really frustrated here, buddy. I got these licensing. I've got this. Where do I go to get a job?
Uh-huh.
So he kind of looked at me, and I had the paper out.
Yeah.
You know, I had the paper on the floor, and I was looking at him. You know, he's looking me in the face and stuff like that. I go, come on, Zeke, you got to help me out here. So it was, you know, he looked me in the eye, took his paw, and put it on the paper, and that was John Hancock.
Woohoo!
So I said, okay, is that where I'm going, buddy? He said,
Yeah.
and he looked at me, well, all right. So
Okay.
I went to John Hancock.
So the universe was working through Zeke
Yeah,
to help you find your right place. And that's what I mean by when you drop all this other superfluous stuff.
right,
And go, it's not about how many degrees you have and, you know, and
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. And you really go into your soul and just going, what? Not what, you know? And you listened to that and followed it.
yeah. No, I said, all right, buddy. You know,
That is a beautiful thing.
you know, I'm not doing any better right now, so I'm going to take your deal.
Yeah.
And then I went in there, and then I had a wonderful career at John
That's
Hancock.
beautiful.
Then I had a career of my own. But just like you said, Gene, is that's what I'm kind of trying to
Yeah.
reproduce here again, because I went through all that, and that I thought that's. Gene, I thought that's where I needed to be.
Yeah.
You know.
And Zeke did too,
He-
as the universe.
Yeah, working through it, but, and then I did it for a while, Gene, but even all the time I was doing it, there was still a nagging thing in here going, this is not what you're really supposed to be doing.
Okay.
But I got so indebted to it, to where, okay, I have a house now, I have children, I have a wife, and this is my only ways of making a living.
But that's the should voice, right?
Yeah,
This is all you can possibly do to make a living, and it's like, I don't think so.
Right.
And so you really reinvented yourself several times, is what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
bet.
yeah.
You bet.
And I
Gene.
think many people do that. Many people do that. It's an okay thing, especially nowadays, because of what they say, everybody has 2 or 3 or 4 careers,
Mhm.
But each part of that is part of the puzzle piece, as I look at it. The financial part was part of it.
Right.
The building things was part of it.
Right.
Yeah. And then whatever, all the other, the internet television things.
Yeah, see, now this is beautiful. I mean, I this feels like I'm home.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, even as I was younger, everybody said,
Yeah.
Bob, you got a great, You don't have much of a face for radio, but you don't really need it. But you've got a great voice. You've got a great voice for radio. Not much of a face, but you're okay with that.